Hey guys, hope everything's going well. You guys know the drill. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Alrighty, today I'm going to be doing a sports card video, and I'm going to be analyzing Mike Trout and why I believe, even though Mike Trout's a great player. Now listen to me carefully before some people who have thrown a lot of money in Mike Trout cards. Mike Trout is a great player. I have speculated in Mike Trout cards. I have some Mike Trout cards that I have actually shown in some of the videos. I have to see if I have it right here on front of me. No, I don't. Regardless, Mike Trout is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer unless he cheated or did something dumb. Okay? Now, I'm going to be looking specifically at his US 175 card. I have a reprint. So the thing is, I bought a bunch of these on eBay, and eBay told me I couldn't resell them. So I'm stuck with them. I could have gone back to the seller, but I'm like, whatever, I don't want to deal with it. Anyways, here's one of these reprints. And the US 175. I think eBay doesn't allow the sale of Mickey Mantle reprints as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. The rookie ones. Regardless, Mike Trout, this is his iconic card. And the population size I noticed of a PSA 10 is about 5,400. Last time I checked on PSA, someone could correct me if I'm wrong. That's a lot of cards. And I remember earlier this year, his cards were going, someone probably paid $6,000. And now they've gone to $3,200, and it's the end of the year. Sure, Mike Trout has had an injury, so that definitely affected the price of his card. And two, if he's injured, he cannot put up the numbers that he previously did. Last year was a shortened season, so Mike Trout didn't have a high WAR compared to usual. His MVP year, I believe in 2019, his WAR was above 8, which is pretty damn good. And I'm looking at some of Trout's numbers. His WAR up to date is, I think, 75. And if he gets, if he adds 30 points to it, he's going to eclipse Pujols. Pujols has close to 100 on his WAR, which is 99.6. So those are phenomenal numbers. Don't get me wrong. Babe Ruth, by the way, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. His WAR was 183.6. That's insane. Now, I want to look at why I don't believe investing right now in Mike Trout, unless, let me put this caveat. If someone is speculating for an aggressive trade or a flip, I think this November, after the baseball season's over, if people buy his cards, they may be able to recoup a decent profit right before the season starts. So that's my caveat. But a long-term hold, long-term investment, I'm talking about Trout. I don't think it's a good investment. And here's the reason why. Mike Trout is above the age of 30. And I followed a lot of players that have had the similar success to Trout. And he has had 3 MVPs. And usually many players that are great, they have 3 MVPs, but then they usually don't get 4. I think Bonds had 7, but we know what happened with Bonds. In recent memory, I don't believe anyone has gone over 3. But there's Pujols from my memory, and I wanted to talk about Pujols as well. Albert Pujols 15 years ago was amazing. I remember Albert Pujols when he was with the Cardinals. The Cubs used to play him. The Cubs used to play the Cardinals. La Russa's teams were phenomenal. And Pujols was just flat out amazing. That was just awesome what he did on the field. Granted, the Angels owner, Moreno, he made a huge mistake signing Pujols to a long-term deal. Now Pujols is on the Dodgers. Maybe he could win a title before he hangs it up if he decides this is his last year. But Pujols won on that contract, not the Los Angeles Angels. And I believe that signing Trout to that long-term deal, I think, was a big mistake for the Angels. Very big mistake, because I don't think Trout will be able to perform the way that he did in his 20s. So most people know that when you're in your 20s, a lot of people, they produce the best results there. And your body, when you're 22, 23, you could recoup from an injury much quicker. But the older you get, it's much harder. You can get over it. It just takes more time, and sometimes for these guys it may mean more pain medication, which is not a good thing. Granted, Michael Jordan played phenomenally in his 30s. Tom Brady played phenomenally in his 30s. But those are exceptions. I'm just looking at all these baseball guys and trying to use what I've seen in the past. Albert Pujols, everyone said in 2011 that'd be a good card to invest in. Well, guess what happened? He didn't perform. Granted, he is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, over 600 home runs, WAR once again close to 100. You can't take anything away from Albert Pujols, but his good days were over 10 years ago. And I expect that the same will be said for Mike Trout. I still think that he will be solid. He's going to be solid enough to be an all-star, but to the MVP caliber that he was, I don't think so. And what's going to happen to his cards? They still will maintain some value because he's Mike Trout, but I don't expect the huge appreciation that we once saw. I remember these cards were under $1,000 a few years ago from my memory. And now people, they paid $6,000 and now it's been cut in half. I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years that this card gets cut in half again to $1,500. That doesn't mean that people can't make money during the seasonal pattern. I think they can. Once again, I think November may be a good time to buy some players that are banged up. And I'm probably going to do another video on baseball. I did a video last year on baseball. It was one of my first few videos. But investing in Mike Trout, I don't think right now, or for the long term, is a smart idea. I know a lot of people don't like Vegas Dave, but he did buy Trout, a rare Trout card for $400,000. He sold it for over $4 million. That's a nice flip. That's a nice trade. And in my opinion, he played that trade correctly, even though it sounded crazy to buy a $400,000 card. And if I'm wrong, his card will probably go higher, but not as high, not in the manner that it went into 2020. 2020, the card just went crazy. Also, the population size, like I mentioned, is way too high for this card. And that's why I don't want to be investing in it. Any Trout cards that I would invest in, they're mini cards from 2012. I had one in one of my videos and I showed it. It was, I believe, I don't know if it was a Gypsy Queen one. Regardless, any mini cards that are PSA 10s, I think those cards are the cards to hold for the long term if you get it cheap. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about that. I know I focus on one particular player, but the hobby likes Mike Trout. But in my opinion, the hobby will probably change its mind on Trout if you see some of these young guns like Shohei Ohtani and Tatis Jr. and Soto and the other guy on the Braves, Acuna Jr. Those individuals, I think the hobby is going to go more towards. I remember in the beginning of the year, not many people were talking about Trout. I'm sure some channels were, but everyone was talking about Acuna, Soto, and all these young guys out there. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below, guys. Thanks. Bye.